In this corner of this living room, we find 8 babies burned.
You see the babies, the mother, the fathers in their bedrooms. It's not a war. It's not a battlefield. It's a massacre.
October 7th, 2023, a day etched in the world's memory. Over 1,200 people were murdered. Men, women, children. Many were tortured, sexually assaulted, and burned alive in their very homes. Around 251 hostages were dragged across the border, among them babies, the elderly, and entire families. In captivity, they were starved, beaten, abused, and held in underground tunnels, stripped of daylight, dignity, and hope. As of today, 192 hostages have been released. Some alive, others returned in coffins. One of those who made it back is Tal Shoham. When Tal was finally released, after 505 days in captivity, he had no idea what had happened to his wife and 2 young children. Today, we meet Tal right here at Kibbutz Be'eri, the very place where his nightmare began, but also a place that stands as a symbol of the unbearable cost and the unbreakable spirit of this war. Tal, thank you for coming here to meet us.
Thank
Share
you
your
for being
story.
here.
I really deeply appreciate it.
So we're in Be'eri now, in Kibbutz Be'eri, the graveyard neighborhood, which once was a beautiful place.
There's a familiar face over there. That's you.
That's me. My wife Adi, my mother-in-law, my son Ave, today is almost 10 years old, and my daughter Yael. They all have been kidnapped from here.
And all of them released?
Yeah. They were released after 50 days, and I'm after 505 days. Unfortunately, we lost my father-in-law after we all been kidnapped, and they just murdered him. I don't know where exactly, but somewhere here in this neighborhood. We came every few weeks to a long weekend in the kibbutz. We slept upstairs, and I think something like at 6:20 we heard the first missile attack on Israel, and we ran to the safe room. Eventually, they came dozens and dozens of terrorists into the kibbutz and surrounded everything, and we thought that we would be safe in the safe room, but eventually broke into the house and took us out. After I was released, I was informed that we are the only one that survived. They murdered everyone in this neighborhood, more than 100 people, men and women, but also children. They just murdered them in
cold blood.
Cold blood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel ready to go into the house?
Yeah, let's do it. You know, we used to come every Thursday night, because then the children are asleep and they can fall asleep on the way. And we used to took them sleep to the upstairs room. Mm-hmm. And then Afshal would sit here and wait for us. Yeah, my father-in-law. He would sit here and wait for us every time, and it doesn't matter if it was at 11 o'clock in the night or 1 o'clock in the night. He will wait for us to see that we came safely, and then we'll say good night and we will meet in the morning. And now I'm like entering here and expect to see him, but it's just ruins now.
Has your family been back here?
No, not yet. They don't feel that they can still.
Process it.
Yeah, they had a very intense and difficult time until I was released, and trying to do everything that they can to make sure that I will be released and hope that I will survive it physically and mentally. Only now when I'm home, the recovery process can start. I mean, my wife and my mother-in-law, they didn't mourn yet on Avshal.
How old are your kids?
So Nave, my son is 9.5 and my daughter is 5.5. They been kidnapped when they were 8 and 3. It's like I came back to a new person. They are teenagers in a body of children now.
Because of the stress and the drama of the war?
Because of the knowledge of how is the real world, without the naivety and childness of children.
It brings tears to my mind just to think about it, having to wait for their father to come back from captivity. What a burden on them emotionally and psychologically.
It was even worse because they actually know what is to be in captivity. They've been there.
They were in captivity,
Yeah, they've been there, they know.
You look at the level of devastation in this house. This was a very, very, very violent battle that takes place here.
Yeah.
Maybe walk us through like what you know of that day. You know there are terrorists outside, you know there's been bombing, and you're with your young kids in a room surrounded by absolute evil.
At 8:30 or 9, they breached the house and we started to fight. So they won't be able to open the door and to take us out. They came from here, from this window. They tried to enter from the back, they didn't succeed. And then they came from the front and broke this window here and entered the house. They came with a tractor and break the frame of the iron bulletproof window and managed to open it. We stood here and suddenly they opened the iron window and 5 terrorists are looking on me.
Standing outside.
Standing outside.
Okay, let's go in.
Then their leader pointed his Kalashnikov on me and started to fire.
How many people are inside this tiny room?
7. The children and the women was hiding under the beds, and Avshal and myself, we tried to put pressure on the door so they won't be able to open it. After they tried to explode the door, and it scratched me in my belly. So if I were standing like 5 centimeters to the left, I won't be here today as well. It would kill me. I couldn't believe that it's actually happening now. I mean, that they actually is coming and we are surrounded. It's like the most terrible fears that a father can have and a husband can have. But with that, I didn't have any time to think about it, to process it. I mean, I was in survival mode and I needed to take care of my family. They took me first outside and they threw me to a trunk of a car. I wasn't able to even look backwards to see what is going on. Only when we entered Gaza and after, I don't know, 2 hours or so, and they left me handcuffed in a room alone, I could start to process what we went through and to start to think about what happened to my family. The terrorist that took me out had a mortar in his eye. I saw that he came for the blood.
And yet here you are, alive, back in this place.
Yeah. At that point, I understood that they're not going to kill me. So I told myself, okay, Tal, you have been kidnapped. You probably will be 4 or 5 years or more in captivity.
Wow.
And you need to be prepared for what will come.
Do you know what happened to your family at that point?
No.
So they're left behind and you're put in the back of a car?
Yeah. In that moment, I also decided that if they will try to kill me, I won't let them do it in ISIS style, to take off my head or something like that. When we entered Gaza, the car stopped and they took me out. And then the terrorist that took me from the safe room, he jumped on the roof of the car. He pointed his kalach on me and told me to go to my knees. I felt that he didn't have enough killing in Be'eri and he wanted to execute me. So I raised my hand and I shout back to him that I surrendered and I'm not gonna kill down. Then came someone on a motorbike, which many months afterwards, I discovered that he was a policeman in Gaza. They both agreed to put me on the bike and start a parade drive in the main streets of Gaza. They shouted to the crowd, "We caught a Jewish soldier pig." Yeah, and everyone was excited and had what seemed to be a lot of fun for them. Lucky for me, we didn't stay enough time in every location, so the crowd didn't beat me. They tried to reach me with sticks and with their bare hands, but we just drove with the bike from place to place. They took me into a hidden home of one of their high-rank officers. They handcuffed me with military-grade handcuffs, which I've been with 24/7 for 34 days without being able to stretch my hands or to move it. And even until today, I have problem in my shoulder because of it. I knew from the second day that it was a massive massacre. I tried to hang to the belief that they released my family and their home. But then I just realized that it's cannot be possible, and I have been most of the time with Aviatar David and Guy Gilboa Dalal, which were kidnapped in the Nova Festival. We've been starved to the point of scurvy, which is unheard of illness in the West for more than 200 years. They starved us, they beat us, they make pleasure in torture us psychologically, mentally, physically. But the worst torture that I experienced was not knowing what happened to my family, and I struggled with it. Eventually, I understood that I need to let them go. I buried them in my mind. I went to the cemetery. I did a eulogy for every one of them, standing near a big grave and then 2 small graves with the whole community behind me. And just let them go, free them to their next phase. And on the 50th day, this tremendous torture and pain was over. I knew that they are okay. I received a letter from my wife describing in English they are safe and about to be released.
So as they're being released, they send a letter from her to you. And 50 days into your captivity, that's the first time you know she's alive.
Yeah.
And that your kids are alive.
Yeah. I told them I will go to cry now. It was the first time I allowed myself to cry. But it was a joy cry, because...
Relief.
Relief, yeah. I knew that now I can focus on my survival. I know that they will be taken care of in Israel and they will be safe.
But I remember hearing that your wife was very afraid to speak about anything related to your captivity or her situation in captivity for fear that it would be used against you in your captivity.
It's not only a fear. They called her in her cell phone and sent the messages.
After she was released?
After she was released, and threatened that they will kill me if she will speak. They also threatened me that if I will speak against them, they will bring a sniper from the Arabic population here in Israel, and they will kill me. Now, slowly, but step after step, I start to feel more and more safe and stop fearing that they can get to me.
So you're released after 505 days from captivity. You lose a very substantial portion of your body weight.
I'm maybe 7'3", 7'4" kilos now. I got out of Gaza 54.
Really?
In the peak, I think I was less than 50 kilograms because of the starvation, the intentional starvation that they inflict upon us.
And from day 50 to day 505, you're moving between apartments, then you're in tunnels, you're being starved, you're being tortured emotionally, physically. And I don't say this lightly, you seem very, very together, very focused, very clear, very emotionally balanced. What is it that you're doing there to keep yourself from going insane?
So since the first day when they left me in this room, I made this commitment to myself that in no way I will give them access to my inner life, and I will keep my inner self safe and secured. The closest word that I can give to that is mindfulness. When I was joined by Aviatar and Guy, I suggested to them to do the same. And we started also to take care of one each other. When you are in survival mode and you have one pita bread every 24 hours with 2 little spoons of cheese, of white cheese, easily you can become aggressive to your companions, trying to get more food or to get some advantage of basic needs. But we made sure that it won't happen to us. I really hope that now Aviatar and Guy, which are still in Hamas tunnels, are managing to do the same, but I fear that it's much worse for them now.
What you're describing is I'm just sitting there, just doing this and that. You're dying. I mean, you're not very slowly. You're quite quickly starving to death in Hamas captivity.
Yeah.
And yet you're able to maintain hope. And yet you're able to keep your head balanced and level and, and even encourage people around you. I think that in itself is something incredible. It's probably the reason you're still alive, I would guess.
There were many times that I saw the possibility of dying there. And many times I saw death as a bless. If it will happen, it will put out the misery, but I was committed to cherish life and to do whatever I can, not just to stay alive, but to stay intact in me, because in the end, I knew that if I will survive it, I will come back to Israel. To be again father to my children and a husband to my wife, and to do good in the world. So I need to stay intact and I need to stay safe and secured inside me. Today, when people around the world ignore or dismiss, deny the fact that there was a massacre, as they denied the Shoah, the Holocaust, I feel that this testimony has a lot of power and people need to hear it, and people need to know what happened and what is still happening to the hostages that remain there. The tremendous torture and suffering that they are going through. There are people around the world that think that there is a simple solution, that we need just to do peace with them and that's all. But it's not the truth. They told me time after time again that the only way that we will have peace with them if it's either we will be dead or we will exile Israel and left the whole land for them. Aviatar and me, we suffered from scurvy, which is actually the body started to eat itself from within. Time is running out.
We can't let the world move on from what happened here. The level of destruction, the violence that was directed at civilian population intentionally, but also not what's happening inside Gaza. the hostages that remain there, with the sole purpose of tormenting the families and the people in Israel.
You know, they took us from the last house. They dressed us as Palestinians. They shaved our mustaches, so we will look similar to them. And we went to the street in the middle of the day. We was picked up by an ambulance, a Red Crescent ambulance with terrorists with weapon inside the ambulance. And then they took us blindfolded to the tunnels. And we walked approximately 2 or 2.5 hours inside the tunnels. And I was thinking to myself, this is the way you spend the money the world gave you? You didn't build playground, you didn't build schools, you didn't build anything that will give your people some kind of good life or advantage. And this is the people we are standing against. You know that in the first house, as I said, they took me to an officer house. After a few hours, they show me a remote control. And they say that the whole building is surrendered by explosives. And if I will try to escape, they will blow us. And I heard children around us in the neighborhood, so I asked them what will be with the neighbors, with the children, with the women. Say, that will be okay, they will be shaheeds. They will die for a holy cause and go to heaven. And this is how they think about their own people. They don't care if people will die. They actually happy that they are dying, because then it seems negative to Israel. Most of the Israelis want peace, they want quiet, they want to live a normal life like everyone else in the world. We also want our neighbors, the Palestinians, to have a good life. But it seems that in the other side, they have different objectives that they want, including our death.
So you've been to hell and back, personally. You've come, you've spent time living amongst the most absolute evil that this world has seen, and you've come back to your family.
Yeah.
What does, the next year, the next 2 years look like for you and your family?
There is a recovery to do, and the children and my wife's lives was on hold until I was released. So now we can start the recovery process as a family, and every one of us separately. So yeah, I don't know what will be the next year or 2 years. It's too far for now. In the tunnels, they used to say that they didn't allow us to know what is the time and what is the date. They were really, really obsessed that we won't know anything. So they used to tell us in Arabic, fish wacket, no time here. After I was released, I told myself, fi wacket, there is time now. So now I have time, and I'm not trying to rush it.
All I can say, Tal, is one, I appreciate the passion that you've had to tell people about what's happening. And two, I want to again remind you that people around the world are praying for you and for your family. And I think for every last hostage that's left behind. And we can't move on. We look at this kind of destruction, we look at what happened in this place. We can't move on and say this didn't happen. I think also we can't say as a society, let's move on, we won. No, we win when the hostages are back. Thank you, Tal.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really feel that people need to know it, and the world need to know what actually happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tal. Today, dozens of hostages remain in Gaza. Innocent men, women, and children. All Israeli citizens still trapped in darkness, still waiting, still hoping. And while the world looks away, Israel remembers every single name, every face, every family, and until the last hostage is home, the story isn't over. Because the families and this nation remain stuck in the same captivity until every single one of them returns home. Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.